guys, how's it going? So we've got 4 different types of plants to put in the ground today. Really beautiful things. A couple of these are brand new. Look at these. Let's talk about the obvious first, because these are just show stealers right here. I mean, these are Limelight prime hydrangeas. Look at how gorgeous, and they're not even big. They're in 2-gallon containers, and they have this many blooms on them and look excellent. Oh my goodness. So these come out white, age to a green, and then turn a beautiful, like very vibrant pink in the fall. And you can kind of see on some of these, possibly, I don't know if I'm imagining it because I'm excited for fall, but there is a little blush of pink starting up. So this version of the Limelight stays a little bit more compact, so 4 to 6 feet tall, 4 to 5 feet wide. They are a zone 3 through 8, and they actually bloom quite a bit earlier than the other ones and a lot of other hydrangeas altogether. They also have stronger stems, and they can handle a wide range of soils types as long as it's well draining. Paniculated hydrangeas are just probably one of the most forgiving categories of hydrangeas in my experience anyway. This one handles our high pH, it handles our full sun so long as they get proper moisture. They also bloom on new wood, which means if you have, a really tough winter with heavy snow loads, or you have deer running through your, garden grazing on your plant, they set their buds and bloom on new growth that they create during the current growing season, which is nice, as opposed to like some macrophyllus and serratas, like the big leaf hydrangeas. A lot of them will bloom on old wood. So if you have any damage that happens during the winter time, or wildlife feeding on them, you may lose blooms for a year. But you don't with these. Same goes for this super cute little paniculated hydrangea. Look at this. This is called a tiny quickfire, brand new for next year, 2023. You guys, this one grows between 18 inches and 3 feet. So 18 to 36 inches tall, 2 to 3 feet wide. It's probably one of the tiniest hydrangeas I've ever planted, especially if it stays on the 18-inch side of things. And the thing I notice about this, these right here, so I have a few of them to put in the ground. You can tell a huge difference in how stocky and thick this plant is. Hey, Russell. Always has to join in. And not even just the density of the plant, like how stocky it looks, but the leaves themselves are really thick, and they're a little bit more crinkly, like kind of a waffly texture. That usually means they can handle more, like handle more abuse, handle more sun, handle more wind without getting any kind of damage. So this one also is zone 3 through 8, and the blooms come out this kind of creamy white color with a little hint of green, like the buds are a little bit more green. So pretty and just like delicate looking, and then they age to a beautiful pink. I love having one that stays this small, which means I can probably tuck these in toward the front of a border rather than making sure that they stay a little bit further back, because I just don't have to worry about the size. The next one here is a brand new hibiscus this year called Parapluie Rouge. There's the tag right there. This one grows 6 to 10 feet tall and 5 feet wide. So I'm gonna find, it's nice that you can get some vertical height out of it, and you don't need to have as wide of a spot. So if you want to, do something a little bit more vertical interest, this is a great one. You can see how many buds this plant has. Just absolutely loaded with buds. I'm so excited, and it has been blooming for a little while now. So you can see the deep pink petals, and then it kind of deepens to a dark red pink in the center there, right at the throat. This one is a zone 5 through 9, and you really do want to put this somewhere where you can just let it do its thing and not have to worry about pruning it. However, these do bloom on new wood, so you can prune them, late winter, early spring, or after they break dormancy is the best time to do it. That way you can see where the good growth is, and so on. But these Parapluie hibiscus, Rosa Sharon hibiscus, have a very graceful habit. Some Rosa Sharons are kind of stiff. These have a little bit more of a natural, like they have a lot of natural movement, which is really, really beautiful. And the last one here, I really wish I would have showed to you about 1 week ago. This is a blue diddly Chaste tree, or Vitex. I have 0 experience with this type of plant. I've never planted one before. And it was in beautiful bloom last week, and I just didn't have time. It was really quite a lot hotter than it is today, so I was kind of holding off. But anyway, we've got some new buds forming up here. It's just beautiful blue color. So from what I understand, this is a zone 5 through 9 plant. It says that in zone 5 and 6, most likely this plant will die back to the ground, and it'll come back every year like a perennial does. As opposed to in the warmer end of those zones, so 7, 8, 9, it will form kind of a smaller tree, but this variety here stays about half the size as a traditional Chaste tree. So it grows 3 to 6 feet tall and wide. So that's a good size. However, I don't think, if mine's gonna be dying back to the ground every year, it probably won't get to the 6 foot end of things, I'm guessing. it's gonna be an experiment. It does say they like sun and they're heat tolerant, so that's good. All right, we're gonna go get these planted. It's not as hot today, but oh my goodness, just standing here in the shade, I am just like dripping sweat. It's so humid today. Last night we had a little system come through, and this morning it was supposed to rain. It didn't, but like that humidity that comes in with a storm, that arrived and stuck around. So anyway, we're gonna go get these planted now. All right guys, I got them all in the ground. They look so pretty, and I think Paul already made it around to some of these plants and put drip to them, which is great. Starting with the tiny quick fire hydrangeas right here, I decided to mass plant them because as I was reading about this plant, since it's a brand new one, they say it's really good for the edges of borders or as a mass planting specimen, which out here where we've got tons of space, it most of the time looks better if we put a bunch of the same thing together, just because it makes a little bit more impact. Now you will notice I did scoot them a little bit away from the grass border because if they do get to the 3 feet, like 3 foot side of things, I'll still have room, like they won't go over the edge of the grass, and I'll still have room to do like a little sedum ground cover or thyme or something like that, just to provide a little bit more of a layer down. But they're close enough to where if they stay the 18 inches, they will still show up in this flower bed. But I think they look really good. So on the other side of them, we have the Cheyenne Sky Panicum and the Denim and Lace Russian Sage, and then there's some Echinacea. They're all kind of taller plants in this area, and then we've got room to do some shorter things here. Oh, am I seeing some fall color on our sumacs? What? Oh my. Oh, that's promising because it is hot right now. Hot, hot, hot. And we do keep planting through most of the hot days of summer. I always feel like, I mean, I skipped the days where it was close to 110 because that's stressful on everybody. But I always feel like, you know, plants are better off in the ground where they have, like they're more insulated. Their roots stay cooler because they've got soil all the way around them instead of the thin nursery, you know, container, that thin plastic. And they're getting consistent water from a drip system. And we consistently water our plants too, but they are subject to user error as well. I mean, there was that one evening I forgot, like it's pretty common practice of mine every night. It's a habit to go outside and I check everything. And I have to double water some things, like they were watered earlier in the day, but sometimes when it's really hot, you have to water them a second time. And I forgot one night when it was really hot outside. I just spaced doing it, and it did. Some of our plants suffered because of it. They got some leaf scorch, and they'll be totally fine, but when they're getting water with a drip system, that's more consistent than I can be. And sometimes I deal with a little bit of shock, like the Vitex here. The Chaste tree is a little droopy, but it'll probably pick back up by tomorrow morning. It was already a bit droopy, and it was one of the ones that suffered when I forgot to water. In fact, the blooms were gone the next day. It was real pretty. I forgot to water that one day, and the whole plant was wilted, and these were brown the next day. So anyway, it looks like Paul got drip to those too. Jeez. Shout out to Paul for being awesome with the drip. So yeah, this plant will be a happy camper, I think. And it's got some pink profusion salvia. There's a bottle brush that looks like it could use some water. Dang, not gonna get close to that. And then we've got some roses right behind it. What is this type of rose? Is this State of Grace? They're real pretty. Planted these last fall. Well, I don't have the, well, is that a tag? What is this? I don't have the proper gloves to be rooting around at the base, but gotta figure out what these are because they are gorgeous. No, these are all dressed up, I think. I don't know what they are. I do know I bought those 2 types of roses last year though. All dressed up seems right though. And then right over here, I put the Parapluie Rouge Rose of Sharon. So again, 6 to 10 feet tall, 5 feet wide. We've got a Corinthian linden right to the left. There is a Shawnee Brave Bald Cypress there. I'm going to be putting a large evergreen in the space here and probably one, let me just back up. So I want to put an evergreen here, something smaller and blue, I think. And then right over here in the larger space, something larger and green, right in here. So it will be really nice to have some summer color in this space. That's going to be a beauty right there. Not a whole lot going on around it yet. Okay, the other hydrangeas ended up in the far corner on the other side. Getting my chariot here. Oh, it's only 98 right now. Well, 20% humidity, don't laugh at me. It feels way more humid than that. You know what, on our way, we should take a look at these. Do you remember when we planted these? Don't they look awesome? These are the quickfire fabs, right? It's a quickfire or a quickfire fab. They get like 6 to 8 feet tall and wide, and we planted them right beneath this red point maple here in the far corner. Like, you know, here's our orchard fence right here in the flower shed, and I'm going that way to show you the next hydrangeas. But yeah, these have just performed their heads off, and I do believe that once they get a little bit more shade from this maple, they may perform. I mean, they're performing great, but they do burn a bit in the sun. It's just got a little bit too intense. But I couldn't be happier with the performance of these plants. I almost feel like I could use one more back in there so that the whole space is filled up with them. Gosh, they're pretty. It's also really nice that our neighbors planted a big old garden. They did this last year too. Look at how pretty that is. Nice borrowed view of corn and pumpkins and all kinds of things. We're almost there, but I wanted to stop quick and give you an update on this Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow. I used it in 3 different locations, so I think I had just one flat of it, and I had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There must be 3 in this section. I'm trying to decide if there's 3 or 4. Either way, they have just grown beautifully. So they're the Mini Vista, so they've got littler blooms, but Vista Supertunias, whether they're mini or regular, just have amazing landscape performance. And you can see that right here. I mean, I just popped them over here because there was a drip line and decided, well, we'll just see how these do versus the ones we plant in containers. And you know, the ones we put in containers in the Versailles garden, those look amazing as well. I did put them in the 4 big containers we have out on the other side of the south garden, and that whole mix just didn't work out as well. And then we had 2 pots where the drip malfunctioned, and it was a little bit of a loss of an experiment, but I was glad I had them in other containers to experience where they did really, really well. Anyway, the hydrangeas are over here. This little corner is shaping up just beautifully, and it's kind of like no man's land. I mean, our dumpster is right over here. So having this little space that's so pretty is making me, I don't know, it's like the ultimate of romancing the ordinary. I mean, I could be putting all these beautiful plants somewhere where you can see them a little bit more often, but I think it's important to elevate those areas you don't go to as often because it makes you want to go to them. So over here, we planted the Lavender Crush Hibiscus, which they've put on a tremendous amount of growth. They love this space right here, and they've been blooming their heads off. You can see buds all over them still. And then we came in and planted the Ruby Chip Juniors. I think that's the name of them right here, Budlias. And then I came in, I planted some Back in Black sedums in another area in another video for you guys, and I had 4 left over, so I popped them here. 1 Cheyenne Sky. This is a Russian sage called Sage Advice. It's a little bit larger growing than the Denim and Lace. I had 4, they're a light pink salvia. What's the name? Might have to pop that on the screen. We just deadheaded them. And then the Limelight Primes right behind them. Isn't that just so pretty? Especially once all these things grow in and fill in. Oh my goodness, it's just gonna be So much color and low maintenance. All of these plants are super low maintenance. I mean, on several of these, you'd have to cut them back, you know, at the end of the season, but that's not much. We don't have to do any deadheading or anything like that over here. Minus the salvia. You do have to cut that back mid-season if you want a good second bloom. But these hydrangeas growing 4 to 6 feet tall and wide will be a beautiful layer back behind the Russian sage. They'll be in bloom at the same time. We have a forest pansy redbud right above. That's a red cone Norway spruce. That's a hoopside blue spruce, another Shawnee Brave bald cypress. I am going to come in because we want to create more of a screen right here from that side of the garden so that you can't see out this way. So we'll be building up behind it with some more evergreens and bigger things. So anyway, guys, that is it for today's video. Just happy to get another load of plants out in the ground, and everything we put out here, I just think, oh, I can't wait till next year. I can't wait, because you forget over the course of the, well, I do, over the course of the winter, you kind of forget all of the things that you put in the ground, especially perennials, because you cut those back and you don't really see them. And then in the spring, you're kind of surprised again at all the things that are so pretty in your garden. So I think it's just going to be awesome. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Excited to give you guys updates on these plants as they grow and mature. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.